Radio and television are known to be broadcasting mediums. They have captured our world for decades. Before all those fancy screens, radios were the main source of the information. Broadcasting mediums are everywhere. We use them every single day, and without them, our lives would look a lot different than they do right now. It is hard to imagine our daily lives without our smartphones, large PC monitors, and television. We are pretty much depending on our broadcasting mediums now. There are many cases in which live broadcasts have been interrupted. Sometimes it would happen because of bad weather, sometimes because the signal would be lost. But what happens when our favourite daily TV shows gets interrupted by a hacker or something we cannot explain at all? Unexplained broadcast interruptions happened many times in the past. They got us curious, bothered, and sometimes even scared. Some of the broadcast interrupts are filled with hidden messages and meanings. Some of them are pretty straightforward, but there are some we cannot even explain at all. Polish TV gets hacked by Solidarity. Back in the 1980s, Poland was under the grip of martial law. The communist government of General Wojciech Jaruzelski tried to repress the Solidarity trade union, which was at the time completely independent. In the western part of Europe, TV screens were filled with the events, but Polish state TV remained completely oblivious, restricting itself to the communist fare. 1985, it was a regular day. TV viewers in the city of Torun were watching an action-adventure movie, when suddenly they were treated to an unexpected bonus to their TV program. Their screens had a brief overlay with special messages. Solidarity torn, boycotting the election is our duty. Solidarity torn, enough price hikes, lies, repression. Solidarity were caught by the authorities right after their second transmission. Only a few days later, all of them ended up in jail for 4 entire months. It was a group of dissident radio astronomers and scientists. They made the transmission and developed a video transmitter that was able to synchronize itself with the official broadcasts. It produced an overlay that was visible on every set within the limited transmission radius. Back in the day, what they did was a significant achievement, using 1980s technology in a state which struggled to get electronic components. Today, there are no surviving records of this overlay transmission. Lucky for you, there is a reconstruction of this entire event that you can find on the internet. The Wyoming Incident, the mysterious TV transmission. The Wyoming Incident is probably one of the most deliberated and researched pieces. There is a possibility you have never even heard of this one, but do not worry. The entire incident was explained as a television broadcast hijacking. The hacker behind all of this managed to interrupt a local program channel and aired his own video for whole 6 minutes during a newscast. The video was extremely bizarre, confusing and very unsettling. There were multiple disembodied heads, strange facial expressions, all from various camera angles. Soon after, a special presentation has been shown, followed by a message. You will see such pretty things. This video has been remembered. It had rather strange effects on its viewers. People who decided not to change the channel, and they continued to watch the video. They were slowly experiencing dizziness, headaches, vomiting, and physical discomforts. To make it even worse, some of them were feeling paranoia, followed by visual and auditory hallucinations as well. After the examination of the sounds which played throughout the video, the researchers found that the frequency was the reason for all these physical and mental issues. Frequencies within 17 Hz and 19 Hz range are known to cause distorting vision, headaches, nausea, and vibrations of the human eyeball. 18 Hz frequency is often said to be the cause of supernatural and paranormal occurrences. These result from a certain electrical frequency or sound, and they can get different responses from the human body. Aside of very disturbing sounds, there were a series of numbers to be seen, displayed as 333, 333, 333. People managed to explain this as a sum of each set of threes is 9. When we invert all three, it becomes a 666. Unsolved mystery of the creepy Max Headroom broadcast. It was November 22nd, 1987. The local news was airing on WGN, showing the football highlights. The viewers got shocked by the sudden black screen. Just a couple of seconds later, there was a strange man on their screens. It was the fictional British character known as Max Headroom. Wearing dark sunglasses and dressed in a rubber mask, this masked man did not say a single word at all. He kept on moving his head from side to side, and suddenly, he disappeared again. The news came back on, and even the anchor seemed to be very confused about what just happened. He said, "Well, if you're wondering what's happened, so am I." It seemed like a strange little moment, but luckily everything went back to normal. Just after a couple of hours passed, an episode of Doctor Who was just live. To our surprise, the masked man decided to return. He easily interrupted the episode of Doctor Who, but this time he was not silent. He had many things to say this time. The man began saying random phrases and things barely anyone could understand. He was chuckling and wailing in between. He mentioned Chuck Swirsky, a WGN pundit. He claimed to be better than him. At one moment, the man held a can of Pepsi from the 1980s, saying, "Catch the wave," which was the Coca-Cola slogan. His words did not make a lot of sense. He kept on saying weird things like, "Your love is fading. I still see the X. Wrong." To make it even more disturbing, the situation changed. Next thing the viewers had seen is the man's butt being spanked by a woman in a French-made outfit. The man yelled, "They are coming to get me," as he was being spanked with a fly swatter. It has been 30 years since this strange broadcast interruption occurred. There are still no answers to who was responsible for this and what was the reasoning behind it. Many people believe this was one of the former internet trolls. The intelligent voice of Vrillon. If you have lived and grew up in the part of the country served by Southern Television, you might have witnessed this rather strange incident that happened 4 decades ago. It was the 26th of November 1997, Saturday, 5 p.m. At the time people would watch Southern TV's news anchored by Andrew Gardner, 10 minutes past 5, the TV screen started wobbling and the sound of Andrew Gardner's voice was silenced. His voice was replaced by a completely distorted voice delivering strangely mysterious messages for nearly 6 minutes straight. TV engineers tried their best to stop the broadcast interruption. The visuals on TV continued completely normal. The news roundup was followed by a Looney Tunes cartoon, but the audio was a whole different story. The message was coming from an individual who identifies themselves as Vrillon, representing something called the Ashtar Galactic Command. The message spoke about us humans giving up our warlike ways and embracing the peaceful existence before it is too late. At first, people were not aware of the messages. They thought it was a TV joke or a mix-up with audio. The next morning, the papers were filled with the news related to this event. Even on late-night ITV, they reported this strange happening. Some people were panicking, thinking the aliens were about to descend upon us. Luckily, it was all a hoax, a prank. No one ever came forward to claim the responsibility for this strange interruption, but it was still something people often remember and wonder about. The message of Vrillon was a lengthy message, but unlike most, it was a message with peaceful meaning. It tells us of all the bad we do with our wars, weapons, and shows us the peace we no longer embrace as we used to. Whether or not Vrillon will return, no one knows. But maybe next time his message will be saying a whole different story than the one he told us at first. The Area 51 caller and Art Bell. Back on September the 11th, 1997, a man who worked at Area 51 called in to Coast AM. He was terrified for his life. His voice was trembling. He described extra-dimensional beings. He even mentioned plots made by the government that would drastically change the world we live in. They want the major population centres wiped out, so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable, he said. To make the situation even more terrifying, the satellite transmission was lost. 7 months later, Art Bell received another call from the same man. This time, the man claimed his first call was a prank, a hoax. Ever since the second call, there were many debates related to these calls. Was the first call real? Why was he so terrified if it was not the truth? There is a possibility both of these calls were fake, but it is surely very strange that the satellite went out during the first call. The satellite going off at that exact moment is extremely weird. Many people believe the first call was actually true. They believe he called it a hoax because he had been scared for his life. He might have wanted to have peace and not be bothered by media. It is extremely hard to determine why this man decided to make these calls in the first place, but it is surely a mystery we are never going to get a real answer to. That was Strange Unexplained Broadcasts. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.